As far as future job prospects for EMTs, I think that they're always going to be growing. It's something that every city is always going to need. It's something that you can rely on as a stable job, and the public's always going to need emergency medical services and firefighters, and that's a great feeling that you know you're always going to be needed. So.
I feel that in the future, more and more emergency medical technicians, especially at the basic level, are taking a much more progressive role in emergency medicine, whereas in the past a lot of agencies have used them as just ambulance drivers. Now they've become on the forefront of a lot of emergency care, using many double basic ambulances with very advanced protocols, sometimes eliminating the need for a paramedic in some systems, putting the paramedic on a fly car and placing two EMTs on an ambulance. I think that's a way that some systems are going. Also, as far as in the future, I could see them doing a lot more things as far as home health stuff in the setting of people calling 911 a lot of times right now as their primary care, and the EMT basic having no way to mitigate it. I feel that in the future we'll be given more tools as to mitigate some of these calls on scene.
I think EMS just offers varied opportunities. There's periods of intense excitement. There's also periods of boredom, kind of lulls in between the calls. I enjoy working with the people that are involved in EMS. I enjoy the team orientation that our profession has. Everything that we do is team oriented. I enjoy taking care of patients, having a positive impact on their lives. I enjoy being at people's sides during some of the most intense moments of their lives, whether it's the birth of perhaps a child or grandchild, and then even at the sadder moments, at the deaths of parents or grandparents or even kids sometimes. But I enjoy being there and being able to help in any aspect that I can.
What I like about EMS is that I never know what's going to happen when I go to work. I like being the person that people call. You know, some people talk about their favorite parts of this job, you know, driving fast and the exciting part of it. My favorite part of the job is when, you know, a 90-year-old woman falls down in the middle of the night. Who else is she going to call? She can't call anybody else. It's her darkest, loneliest hour, and she had nobody else in the world to call, and she called us. And I think that's probably the most humbling, grateful experience I've been blessed to be a part of.
What I like most about EMS is the variety. You just never know on any given day what kind of calls you're going to have. It can be things as minor as giving a Band-Aid to a little guy that fall down, go boom, or as major as doing CPR. And as a paramedic, we do intubations, we give drugs. I mean, you have no way of knowing what the call is going to be. When the bell goes off, you just hop on your rig and you go and figure out what's going on when you get there.
The most difficult call that I've had so far was a 4-month-old baby that had stopped breathing, and we are very grateful that we were able to get the baby to breathe again. By the time we got him to the ER, he was breathing and doing okay. So
it's just kind of hard when you see someone earlier that day and then you come back and there's nothing you can do for them. You know, you have to call them on scene. So it kind of hurts when you see someone like that, knowing that you tried everything you can do, but there's still, you know, you couldn't do anything for them. So I think that was probably one of the worst calls that I've been on.
That's a tough one. There have been a lot of difficult calls over the time that I've been an EMT and a paramedic. Probably one that, at least the first one that really pops into my head, is one that I wasn't actually the attending paramedic, but I was responding as a paramedic supervisor. And it was at a local hotel, and unfortunately there had been a drowning of I believe a 6 or 7-year-old boy. It was a complete accident. The family had come in town to just kind of take a break. I guess they had lived out east, and they came to town just to kind of enjoy a holiday and stayed at the hotel with a bunch of other families. And they did kind of a buddy check at some point, and this young person unfortunately had drowned and was at the bottom of the pool. And kind of following up with that call at the hospital, I was with the mother, and obviously she was really just distraught and in shock. And one of the worst things she called her husband, who was a soldier in Iraq, and this was about maybe 18 months ago. So she's outside the hospital. She calls her husband, who's serving in Iraq, and as she's trying to tell him what happened, she just goes hysterical and faints, basically. And I had to finish up the conversation and notify this soldier about what had just happened to his son. And that was probably one of the saddest things I've ever had to do. You know, EMS, whether you're an EMT, a paramedic, whether you work for, you know, an ambulance service, whether you work for a fire department, whether you're a professional paid, whether you're a professional volunteer with any of those organizations or other organizations, those calls really affect you quite the same. The stresses are still there. While you are in the situation, you've got to maintain your composure. You know, people call 911 for us to come and help bring order and care to the scene, so we have to maintain that demeanor. But afterwards, it is very stressful, and we deal with it by talking with our peers, our friends. I know in the fire department we have a peer support model that we use to take care of ourselves. We encourage, stress relieving activities, maintaining good physical fitness. When you're away from your job or your career, we encourage you to, take part in, healthy activities, physical activities to help kind of burn off some of that energy, and have other hobbies outside of EMS to provide an outlet.
Well, in the EMS, it's a common practice to do what they call critical incident stress debriefing. And whenever there's a critical situation, a lot of times the crews are gathered together, and sometimes you have what they call peer support, so other members of your organization will come and meet with you and help you work through some of those visual and other stimuli that you encounter. So a lot of almost a group therapy kind of a situation. And depending upon your organization, it may go beyond that, and one-on-one with counseling and that sort of thing. So there's help out there.
It's part of the job. Bad things are going to happen to great people, and that's an unfortunate part of our society. However, in our position, we play an intricate role in that. And when bad things happen, who do you call? You call 911, and that's who we are. And unfortunately, we see some terrible, terrible things, and I think that's probably one of our most honored aspects of our job is bearing witness to some of life's most tragic, horrible things. And I believe that in and of itself, just the philosophy of that kind of got me through it. I mean, not to mention the fact that my peers, it's like family. It's the people I've grown up in this system with. And they were so supportive. And it wasn't a fact of, hey, are you okay? Oh, hey, let's get you a day off or something like that. I mean, it was forced on you. It's your family. They're calling you 24 hours a day. Hey, man, how you doing? Even weeks later, like, you've been okay? I know you had that rough call the other day. And just stuff like that. And I believe that it's very important to have that support structure. And that's how you can deal with this stuff. Because any other person, would go crazy. And thank God we have each other, so.
I continue in EMS because I've fallen in love with it. I can't imagine doing anything else now. After I became an emergency medical technician and became involved with firefighting, truly that is the place where I'm happy. I feel so lucky to have found a job where I can be happy going to work. I look forward to going to work every day, and really just can't imagine myself doing anything else.
I choose to continue working in EMS because I really love what I do. I love the opportunity to work with people and make a difference and help people. And I really like to work the special events, and I like the fact that EMS is changing. I don't have to sit behind a desk every day. and every day is different and new and exciting.
I continue in EMS because it's the only thing that I want to do. It's something that I've grown to love and I enjoy doing.